In this town there stands an 800-year-old camphor tree, and inside the tree's hollow trunk is a 100-year-old Lingzhi mushroom, Ganoderma lucida. Many people come to worship at the tree, but the town has more to celebrate than an old tree, because it was once the home of one of China's greatest philosophers. Liu Ge, and above all, Zhu Xi, the most influential Neo-Confucian scholar of the last 1,000 years. What more traces of Zhu Xi are to be found in Wufu? On this gateway are the words Guo Hua Chu, the threshold of opportunity.
这边呢，你看这里有三四街三个字，四街大概就是市场贸易，跟贸易有关系。
那这边就是商业街。
对，过化处就是愿意纪念朱熹的，
过是经过，
过是经过，化是教化。
The Xingxian Academy was separated from the noisy marketplace by the gateway. Xingxian means nurturing talents in Chinese. The academy was built by scholar Hu Angor's nephew, Zhu Xi's mentor, and on the site where he once studied in his early years. Zhu also lectured here in later life. A feature of the academy's main gate, there are 3 black gauze caps on the brickwork. These represented positions in the ranking of candidates in the imperial examinations.
它最高顶上呢供着一品状元帽，然后两边呢有榜眼跟探花。那这上
一甲前3名
一甲前3名就是儒家思想的讲，物以优则仕啊，读书就要去考取功名啊，有了功名呢才实现治国平天下的抱负。而且这里面的建筑呢，它有很多丰富的图案，都寄予了对这个学子的一种这个理想的一种提升。 然后这边呢，书中自有黄金屋啊，书中自有颜如玉，还有到了后面的科举考以后，每个学子呢要8仙过海。
One can understand the aspirations of the students for an official career, rank and riches. However, Zhu Xi well understood from his own and his father's experience that the path of the honest official is fickle and fraught with pitfalls. In the Ziyang mansion, the former residence of Zhu Xi, visitors can see a copy of what is reputed to be a self-portrait by the great scholar.
1130年，在尤西出生的时候，右眼角上面就有7颗黑痣，长得像北斗7星。当时他的父亲呢，朱松问了一下编组文公的富贵。 后来这位商人呢，就写了一个简单的一首诗。他说：“富也只如此，贵也只如此，生个小孩子，便是孔夫子。”
The Ziyang mansion has been rebuilt on its original site. The central hall is called Ziyang Study. From the age of 15, Zhu Xi studied, wrote, ran a school and taught in Wufu on and off for 50 years. It was his own birthplace, as well as the birthplace of his philosophy. "800 years on, Ju is still revered in the town. The 800-year-old camphor tree here is said to have been planted by the great man himself and is known as Master Ju's tree by the locals. In the famous ancestral hall of the Liu family clan are enshrined the memorial tablets of the Liu family's virtuous ancestors. The Lius were a distinguished family in the town, to which Ju Shi had a close connection. Liu Shi, a teacher at Master Ju's school, is a 42nd generation descendant of the clan.
都是世宗是吧？
世宗对。
刘拱、刘子宇、刘葛，啊，那么刘葛呢，这个是主张派啊，那么他在这个靖康元年的时候就出使呢金国去谈判，谈判过程当中呢，他这个金人啊，就是派了一个副宰相来跟他谈判，那么这个副宰相呢觉得刘葛这个人啊是一个人才，而且呢想为他所用，就提出把他自己的副宰相的位置啊让给他做。 劝降他，但是呢，在这种时候呢，这个刘葛根的态度啊是非常明朗的，啊，他就说了，这个真女不是二夫，啊，忠臣不是二主。
Knowing the Ju Shen would not release him, he then committed suicide. In 1143, shortly before his death, official Ju Song entrusted his son to his good friend Liu Ziyu, son of the loyal Liu Ge. Liu Ziyu adopted Ju Shi. Liu Ziyu's younger brother, Liu Zhihui, and his cousin, Liu Mianzhe, were both leading Confucian scholars. Liu Mianzhe later married his daughter to Ju Shi. The three were Ju Shi's adoptive father, teacher, and father-in-law, and they all invested painstakingly in his intellectual and moral education. Ju Shi did not disappoint them. Aged 19, Ju Shi passed the highest level of imperial examinations. A stunning double rainbow appeared in the sky after the rain. The town had nurtured a great sage in Ju Shi. Lying in the middle of a geographical basin surrounded by mountains, Wufu is like the corona of a lotus flower encircled by petals. How did this environment nurture the development of Neo-Confucianism thought? What traces of Ju Shi can still be found in Wufu? How has Ju Shi's philosophy been understood or misunderstood over the centuries? What are the merits or demerits of such a conservative outlook? This is Wufu, birthplace of a sage. Visitors to Wufu can drink the famous 7-step tea, known as the tea of Master Ju Shi. It's said that after drinking the tea, one can write effortlessly. The master's habit of drinking it has been perpetuated by later generations.
是吧？是。所以因为有些人酒量不好，
太喜欢这一茶带酒。
对啊，
茶它有一个提神的功效，喝完茶之后呢，它可能就像喝酒一样，也能达到文思泉涌这个感觉。
李白是个浪漫主义诗人，
是啊，
他喝了酒，他的诗性更是异化。
对，
手势。
对，
朱熹是一个理学家，他很多是经过思考的，那喝茶呢，能够让人的心静下来，在这种状态下创作的诗，就是
理趣诗，
很有哲理性，
理趣诗。
所以朱熹的诗很多都是哲理诗。
A small square pond, an uncovered mirror, where sunlight and clouds linger and leave. I asked how it stays so clear. It said spring water keeps flowing in. This is Zhu Xi's best-known poem. Legend has it that he composed it while reading beside this pond. Though repeatedly dyed black by the ink slabs which were washed in it, the pond somehow managed to remain clear. Zhu Xi saw that this was because fresh spring water kept flowing into it. At Wufu, as he read, observed, contemplated and wrote, he became a great synthesizer and teacher of Neo-Confucianism. Lotus flowers bloom in front of the Ziyang mansion. The petals are glittering and translucent. The seeds were once reserved for royal tribute. In the streets of the town, it seems that every household is busy peeling lotus seeds, and some show extraordinary dexterity. Wufu's children can recite the family instructions of Zhu Xi while shelling seeds.
君之所贵者仁也，臣之所贵者忠也，父之所贵者实也。慎勿唐人之短，切莫经己之长。勿以善小而不为，勿以恶小而为之。
朱子家训是我们先祖文公啊总结他的人生经验，为我们后代子孙呢留下了一笔珍贵的遗产。当代社会呢越来感觉到它的价值所在。
The family instructions of Zhu Xi have impacted many in Wufu. This is Wang Suying. 5 years ago, when her son needed a kidney transplant, without hesitation, she donated one of hers to him, even though she was, at that time, ill and bedbound herself.
家里的人有劝我，我那个老公的弟媳妇求他的，嫂，我劝你。 这个我们农村人钱财两空，你换了，我说我都没有考虑的。我说我可以的，可以救活儿子的，没有关系。当时我就是这样子想，尽量什么人讲也都没用，我就是想救儿子。有一首歌，那个明星人既然是灯光，要照亮全家，所以我不能照亮全家，我说我都尽量。
Similar stories abound. This gateway was built during the reign of Emperor Guangxu at the end of the 19th century. The inscription shows that it was built to honor a woman surnamed Lian. After the death of her husband, Lian had dutifully nourished her parents-in-law and raised her children, who grew up to be officials. The emperor had the gateway built to commend her virtue. Today, people might question whether such commendations of virtuous widowhood served to fetter women and condemn them to a life of frustration and loneliness. Did the values of chastity that Zhu Xi advocated forbid Chinese women from remarrying?
那么，朱子是不是反对妇女改嫁呢？是，确实是。 那么朱子为什么反对妇女改嫁呢？因为当时的社会生产力非常低下，一个家庭如果是个男子死了，留下了一个孤儿寡母，那么如果这个妈妈再改嫁，意味着这个家庭的彻底的崩溃，老人没人抚养，孩子没人抚养，会给社会造成极大的危害。
On the mural, people see that the disciples of Zhu Xi were of all ages and both genders. Obviously, he didn't discriminate against women. What he valued was their devotion to their family responsibilities. He spoke of keeping nature's law and killing off human desire. Did this form part of those feudal ethics which deprived people of their rights?
什么是天理呢？天理他认为就是整个社会的规律、自然的规律，这是天理。什么是人欲呢？过度的、过分的就是人欲。他打了个比方，他说我们吃饭，如果2个素菜1个荤菜，这是天理也。如果说你要吃2个素菜、2个荤菜、3个荤菜、4个荤菜，人欲也，人欲也。所以他认为，这个饮食男女都是天理，超过了你的需要，那就是人欲。而人欲呢，他认为是要加以抑制。人欲的这个不加抑制的，让它这个无限制的膨胀，他认为这会造成社会的危害。
In Juxi's time, the southern Song dynasty was constantly harassed, first by the Jushen and then by the Mongols. Juxi's teachings were to form the moral backbone of the nation in its resistance to those invaders. What made Juxi set up a granary? Did the Xingxian Academy encourage students to become officials? This is Wufu, birthplace of a sage. This old well has no fence around it. A yellow stone in front of it warns people to take care when approaching. The well was dug to help protect the granary from fire. Fearing for the fate of his fellow townspeople in turbulent times, Juxi established the public granary. It was to be the first run jointly by the government and the local population.
在这个乡镇这一级，也建这种设仓，有的时候可以有效的这种缓解这个交通运输一些压力，赈灾可以及时。另外呢，官花的这些粮食换到这个粮仓之后，它也可以做一种原来的这个储备金或者基本金这种形式，去拿去发放给老百姓。所以特别在这欠收年景或者灾荒年景的时候，就没有在五湖这一带都没死过人，没饿死过人。
Being the first ever charitable granary for disaster relief, Juxi's charitable benefice was lauded as a Confucian miracle. He himself was also a practical man who cherished a deep concern for his people. Throughout his life, he was committed to the reconstruction of an ethical Chinese culture. Then why does the Xingxian Academy, whose iconic figurehead was Juxi himself, so openly advocate the utilitarian and materialistic goals of education on its gateway? The board in the Academy's main hall reads, "Continue the past and open up the future." The couplets on the two columns are, "Following the way of great kings, his virtues are like the towering of the sky and the vastness of the land."
主述劳宋说他的政策，这个治民呢各方面呢，他都是利民的，啊，这所以说要用他的这个黄话来治理国家。那么治理国家要通过谁呢？就文臣武将。这个德呢，它可以这个感动天地，这样子呢就能够使这个天地这个感应，这个做到这个国家的风调雨顺。
This is undoubtedly the highest pursuit of earlier Chinese scholars. But how could one achieve it? The answer is inscribed on two plaques. Read the books of sages and aim high.
读完书呢，这有的呢就把这个有这种公民利禄这种思想呢，就这个抽进去了。因为他既然当官了，那这公民是作为当官了，然后呢利禄呢，他附带着就来了，就来了。 跟着就来了，好像现在
诗中自有黄金屋，
就这个了。所以说，他一般的这个那外面那个就这样子扩大的。实际上，真正的外面呢，它就4个字来做这些人，他要继承孔孟之道。
The Xingxian Academy was rebuilt in the late 19th century, and it was then that those decorations were added. Originally, the purpose of this traditional dance was to welcome spring and pray for favourable weather. A variation called carp jumping over the Dragon Gate was later included to encourage young students to follow Zhu Xi's example and pass the highest imperial exam at an early age. This summer brought happy news for the Song family, as their daughter Song Jun won a place at the Fujian University of Traditional Chinese Medicine. Education is the path which the citizens of Wufu all seek for their children. At home, they're making the famous lotus seed soup. The lotus seeds melt in the mouth, leaving a lingering fragrance. Legend has it that Zhu Xi's mother made this soup to teach him how learning takes effect.
莲子本来是甜的，它包含的莲子心是苦的，就像现在我们一样，我母亲想教育我那种心是很辛劳很苦。可是当我考上大学以后，以后有成就的时候，就相当于把莲子心拔出的原味，那种甘甜。
Song Jun and her mother have come to pray at Master Zhu's tree. Over 800 years, it has come to be regarded as an incarnation of Zhu Xi. Whenever a student from the town is enrolled in college, the whole family comes to this tree to give thanks. Today, a group of guests arrives at Ziyang Mansion. They're members of the World Federation of Zhu, which aims to advance friendship among the descendants of Zhu Xi and to promote the philosophy of Zhu Xi.
我知道在日本的韩国两个地方影响最大，因为他们基本把朱子理学当成一个必修课来修。那一般新加坡的主要的华人都是中国这边南移的移民啊。 基本上还保留着传统的朱子家训、朱子思想。我记得在3年前，马来西亚朱氏中青会，他主办了一个100个学生默写朱子家训，场面很伟大，而且很成功。这就是朱子家训在海外所造成的影响。
This pebbled road is called Master Zhu's Lane. Over 8 centuries ago, Zhu Xi would have walked along it, wrapped in his thoughts. His interpretation of Neo-Confucianism was to dominate Chinese culture until the fall of the last emperor in 1911. Like the Philosopher's Way in Heidelberg, Germany, this lane might fairly be called the Chinese Thinker's Way.